In the endless debates about generations, there's a strange pattern. We spend hours dissecting the ambitions of boomers, analyzing the anxiety of millennials, and studying Gen Z as if they were a new biological species. But right in the center of this timeline, there's an entire universe that remains almost invisible. Generation X. If you were born between 1965 and 1980, you are history's middle child. While the world was busy with grand changes, you were learning the art of being unnoticeable. Picture a typical evening in 1978. You're 8 years old, and you're coming home to an absolutely empty house. You have no smartphone to call your mom, no security cameras, and no one in the world at that moment knows where you are or if you're okay. You simply open the door with the key hanging around your neck on a dirty string, make yourself a sandwich, and sit down to do your homework in deafening silence. This isn't just a childhood memory, it's the moment your unique psychology was born. While other generations were bathed in attention or care, Gen X became history's first large-scale generation of, quote, latchkey kids. This early isolation made you ghosts in the social system, but it was exactly what gave you a superpower others can only dream of. You learned that silence isn't scary, and autonomy is the only way to survive in a world where no one comes when you cry. You don't ask for likes, and you don't seek approval. You're just here, in the shadows, holding this world on your shoulders while everyone else argues about trends. To understand why Generation X possesses such a bulletproof psyche, you have to look at the world that shaped them. Psychologists call this a high-contingency environment. It's a world where there were no buffers, filters, or support services between your action and the consequence. If in 1980 you decided to jump off a garage roof, you didn't count on soft padding or a helmet. You knew if you fall, it will hurt. If you forgot your house key, you didn't call your parents because there was nowhere to call. You sat on the porch for 3 hours and waited. In this environment, your brain learned to calculate consequences in real time, turning into a high-powered analytical computer. This is why Gen Xers often think 3 steps ahead, sometimes baffling younger generations. This school of life was harsh. The rules hit hard and fast, and no one cared how you felt about it. You weren't held or sat down on beanbags to discuss your traumas. This formed a unique personality type, people who don't waste time complaining because they were taught from childhood. Your rescue is always your own responsibility. An empty house at age 8 didn't just make you independent, it seared into your consciousness the understanding that in this world, the only thing you can truly count on is your own competence. If you want to see the true symbol of Generation X, don't look at their achievements, but at their smile. Usually it's a slight, barely noticeable smirk, seasoned with a heavy dose of sarcasm. In the world of psychology, this is called defensive pessimism. For Gen X, irony isn't just a sense of humor, it's a sophisticated emotional body armor they began forging back in elementary school. Your childhood was soundtracked by news of the Cold War, nuclear threats, and a skyrocketing divorce rate. You watched as institutions your parents considered unshakable crumbled. While adults were preoccupied with their own crises, you made a fundamental conclusion. Hoping for the best is a losing strategy, but being prepared for the worst is vital. You learn to keep the world at arm's length, not because you are cold, but because you know all too well how hard life hits when you lack distance. This distance allows you to keep a cool head where others panic. Your cynicism is actually the highest form of realism. You don't expect everything to be perfect. You expect the rug to be pulled out from under you. And that's why you're the only person in the room who already knows how to brace for the fall. For you, skepticism isn't negativity, it's a security system. You don't allow yourself to be enchanted, so you won't be crushed. And it is precisely this emotional autonomy that makes you the most stable players in any crisis. There is one thing that makes Generation X indispensable in any office or crisis room: the ability to solve problems without Google. While the world shifts to surface-level data consumption, your brain operates on deeper encoding technology. And it's not magic. It's a result of how you used to acquire information. Think back to how you prepared a report or looked for an answer to an important question. You didn't have a search button. You had to physically go to the library, spend hours sifting through card catalog drawers, find that specific book, and write down what you needed by hand. Information in your time had a physical weight. It required time and effort. Cognitive psychologists confirm knowledge obtained through overcoming difficulties is woven into neural pathways much more tightly. This is why you still remember how to fix a bike chain or calculate a percentage in your head when technology fails. Your brain is not a temporary folder for files. It is a vast, reliable library of meanings. You are used to figuring everything out yourself, from setting up a TV to complex work processes. This mechanical intuition and patience allow you to see the core of a problem where others see only a system error. You don't just know things, you feel them. And in a world where any information is devalued by the speed of its acquisition, your ability to possess fundamental, lived-in knowledge is a rare currency whose value is only growing. If you want to find the most skeptical employee in a company, look for the Gen Xer being presented with a new corporate mission or yet another rebranding. While millennials are inspired by values and Gen Z looks for meaning, Xers look at this with a single thought. That's great, but who's going to fix the server when it crashes? Your psychology has formed a unique type of loyalty. You are not loyal to logos, brands, or fancy job titles. You are loyal only to competence. This is a byproduct of your childhood. When parents were busy and authorities like politicians or teachers often made mistakes, think Watergate or Chernobyl, you learned to trust the result, not the title. For you, a boss isn't the one with the biggest office, but the one who, in a crisis, rolls up their sleeves and solves the problem fastest. This makes you an uncomfortable generation for poor managers. You can't be bought with free office snacks or an inspiring Zoom speech. You can smell incompetence from a mile away because your own survival has always depended on how well you know your business. You are the ones who keep the system afloat, not out of love for the corporation, but out of a deep personal respect for quality work. You may not believe in loyalty to a company that could fire you at any moment, but you are fanatically devoted to your ability to be the most valuable and knowledgeable person in the room. Every coin has a flip side, and for the quote, bulletproof independence of Generation X, it is the heaviest one. Your greatest source of pride, the phrase, "I'll handle it myself," is actually your deepest trap. In psychology, this is called hyper-autonomy. It's a state where the inability to ask for help turns into a rigid dogma, concealing an old, deeply buried fear. Think back to that empty house of your childhood. At 8 years old, when you faced a problem, a scraped knee, a broken faucet, or a school conflict, you quickly learned one lesson. No one is coming when you cry out. Not because you weren't loved, but because the adult world was too busy surviving. Your nervous system learned a pattern. Waiting for help means wasting time and risking disappointment. It's safer and faster to do everything yourself. Today, this mindset turns your life into an endless marathon of endurance. You drive yourself to burnout, carrying projects, families, and others' responsibilities on your back. But the very thought of sharing the burden causes you almost physical discomfort. For you, asking for help subconsciously equates to admitting defeat. It's not just pride, it's a scar from the time when you were too small for such an enormous responsibility. Your hyper-autonomy is not just your strength, but your eternal barrier that prevents you from feeling true closeness and relief. There is one thing that causes Generation X not just bewilderment, but almost physical rejection. It is the modern culture of total publicity. In a world where every step must be recorded, tagged, and uploaded online, Xers remain the most fierce defenders of their boundaries. And it's not because you are old-fashioned or don't understand technology. After all, you were the ones who created it. It's about a deep psychological instinct for safety. For you, to be visible is to be vulnerable. Your childhood taught you, when you are alone in an empty apartment or on the street, your safety directly depends on your ability not to attract unnecessary attention. You are the last generation that had the sacred right to make a mistake without it being documented on a smartphone camera. Your failures, your weird hairstyles, and your first awkward dates remained only in your memory, not in cloud storage. This gave you an inner freedom that is almost impossible to explain to those who grew up under the sights of front-facing cameras. You don't post your breakfast not because you have nothing to show, but because for you, reality is always more important than its digital cast. You sincerely don't understand why you should turn your life into a reality show if the most valuable things happen in silence and without witnesses. Your secrecy is not a symptom of social phobia. It is a manifesto of independence. You guard your privacy as the last stronghold of a real, unfiltered life. In an era where likes have become currency, you are the only ones who know the price of silence and understand that true strength does not need the applause of the crowd. We have come to the ultimate recognition that you never asked for, but deserve more than anyone. Generation X is often called forgotten, but the truth is, you are the foundation. You are the very bridge that connects the analog past with the digital future. And like any real bridge, your destiny is to withstand colossal pressure while remaining steady and reliable. You are the adults in a room full of cries for attention. While some generations argue over identity politics and others drown in anxiety about the future, you just keep doing your job. You fix what is broken. You find a way out of dead ends where algorithms fail, and you maintain sanity where emotions run high. Your invisibility is not your defeat. It is your supreme achievement. It is the freedom to be yourself without needing the approval of a crowd or validation through a smartphone screen. Take a breath and acknowledge your strength. You survived in empty apartments, you were tempered in a world of hard consequences, and you preserved your privacy in an age of total surveillance. You are the guardians of common sense and lived-in wisdom. The world doesn't need you to change or to become louder. The world needs you to remain that invisible bridge holding everything on its shoulders. Be proud of who you are. You are Generation X, and this is your real, quiet victory.